Next, we're going to look at our statisticians that played a crucial role in our teams this year for both our boys and girls. First, I want to look at our statisticians for our boys team, and our two statisticians were seniors Sydney Bevilacqua and Bella Stofi. Both Sydney and Bella were brand new this year as statisticians, although, Sydney had a lot of experience with wrestling because Bryce, her brother, wrestled all the way through youth up to his senior year last year with us. So she's been around wrestling. She's one that I've tried to talk into wrestling for the girls team. And, she's kind of hinted that she thought about it at times. But she did decide to come out and be a statistician this year, and she picked up pretty quickly because of her background with it. And then Bella was also brand new, but Bella, very intelligent young lady. I always, tell her like how I had her back course in seventh grade, and some of her papers are ones I use as examples on quality work in writing. So she picked up very quickly on this too. So we had two very intelligent, very smart girls as our statisticians, and they did a great job as always. Statisticians are so important, especially in the dual meets, because you know not all sometimes the people working the tables and working the scoreboards aren't getting things correct, and they can miss stuff, and it's tough sometimes for them to be watching the official and running the scoreboard, so they sometimes miss stuff, and especially if something's happening quickly. But our girls are always on top of things, and between recording the matches and recording the scores, they're always on top of it. I'm the one that's always bugging them during dual meets, like, hey, what's the score of the duel, what's the score of the duel, and they have it right away. There were some times where there was some very controversial calls, you could say, or maybe misjudgment of calls, and we use them to make sure that the scores were correct and that um, the people running the scoreboard were putting the correct scores up, and they were able to correct them most of the time. So our girls, did a fantastic job of that, and I hate to have this is almost the third year in a row we've had girls for only 1 year, but you know, Sydney and Bella did a tremendous job. We were so grateful for both of them, and they not. I'm sure they're not going to miss those early 5 a.m., 6 a.m. tournaments sometimes, but they'd come on the bus, give me a dirty look, but then take a nap. But then they were so great the rest of the time. They were always rays of sunshine at the tournaments, and they were they did their job and they did it very, very well. So thank you guys so much for all your help this year, and best of luck in everything you guys do in the future. On the girls' side, we had junior Robbie Hickman, who was in his second year, and Robbie, kind of like Sydney, grew up with wrestling. His brother Josh wrestled for us many years, so Robbie knows wrestling. Robbie, in fact, also wrestled a little bit in youth, so he knows his wrestling. So he's always the one I could go to too, and I know that he's going to have the right score. He's going to have everything down correctly. And then this year too, Lauren Kozlowski, who wrestled last year for us as a senior, but this year unfortunately could not wrestle. And bless her heart, she said she still wanted to be a part of this team, and I'm so glad she said that, because if we couldn't have her wrestle, and she tried everything, she tried to still practice and do all that stuff, but it wasn't in the cards. So she stayed on as a statistician, and honestly, I think she was a statistician, but also kind of the team hair designer or hair stylist, I guess, if you will, because whenever we arrived at a place right after wins, you'd see them going to Lauren to do their braids or to put their hair up so that they can be ready to go out there. But she also, did a great job because she knows wrestling, because if she wrestled last year. Last year, by the way, with her career, she still had 5 wins, 3 by pinfall, 1 decision, 4 takedowns, and 1 reversal and 1 escape. Just unfortunately this year she could not compete, but she was still a part of this team and still an extremely important part of this team, especially as with our girls team, dual meets were essential this year, with the dual meets state qualifiers and going down there. So um, they especially were probably sick of me running up to them, asking them the scores at, like, when we were wrestling at the regional duels and then the state duels, because that was probably every 5 seconds I was bothering them about, hey, what's the score? What's the score? But that's the thing. Our statisticians, I trust them more than when we go somewhere else and relying on somebody on the scoreboard or on the score clock. So I know I can trust our statisticians because they do a fantastic job. So, Lauren, thank you so much for the last 2 years and everything you've done. You've been a great influence on this program, and we're going to miss you so much. And Robbie, look forward to having you back next year for your senior year. Um, so excited for this, and we can't thank our statisticians enough. Again, it's I think it's an underappreciated position on the wrestling teams. People don't understand just how important it is having quality stat keepers that know what they're doing and make sure everything's correct, because one little mistake, even a little mistake on like who got the first points of a match, could be the difference between a team winning a dual meet, or it could be the difference in who gets a choice in a tiebreaker situation in a match. So having good statisticians like we did with Sydney, Bella, Lauren, and Robbie is so important. And we were so grateful this year to have four amazing statisticians, really five at one point, because Piper, who wrestled 105 for our girls team in the beginning, was a statistician, but then, decided to wrestle instead of doing stats. So we've been so blessed on that, and we're looking hopefully next year to keep it going. We'll have Robbie back, but we're going to need some more new statisticians for the boys and the girls. So thank you to four of you. Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Bella, Lauren, and Robbie, for everything you've done for our program.